Opinion. It's time for India to set up an independent national fire safety authority. I began writing this piece after breaking news flashed on my laptop. A 9-month-old infant had been burnt alive after being engulfed in a major fire at an iron die manufacturing unit in Mohilas Sector 5 industrial area on Monday, June 30, 2025. Heart-wrenching though the news was, I hoped it would be an isolated accident. It was not to be. Soon, I was left counting the dead, the maimed, and the severely injured, along with the massive destruction of property caused by a spate of fire-related disasters. Between June 30 and July 8, 2025, at least 18 major fire incidents have been reported across 10 states. More than 60 people have died, and at least as many have sustained serious injuries. Here is a sample of the reported incidents. These accounts present only a curated sample of the fire-related disasters reported over the past week. Even this limited snapshot reveals a staggering toll: at least 60 lives lost, over 50 people seriously injured, and crores of rupees worth of property reduced to ashes. No one in India precisely knows the exact number of fire accidents that occur daily, monthly, or annually, simply because the country lacks even the most basic tools to record them: a fire registry or a burn registry, either at the central or state level. Fire services in India are classified as a municipal function under the state list in the 12th schedule of the Constitution, under Article 243. Unfortunately, municipalities lack both the infrastructure and the capacity to prevent fires or to effectively contain them once they break out, particularly in a rapidly urbanizing India. Unsurprisingly, within the municipal governance setup, fire accidents seldom receive the attention or urgency they demand. Given this context, the incidents I have chronicled so far are merely the tip of the iceberg. The true scale of fire accidents occurring daily across the country is deeply disturbing, with massive collateral damage and a tragic human cost. Based on this limited yet chilling account of recent fire incidents, a few preliminary conclusions emerge. It is impossible to explain every single fire accident. Nonetheless, here is an explainer of a few recent incidents, some of which turned fatal, and others that were near misses, narrowly avoiding disaster by sheer luck. 1 Palace Queen Humsafar Express engine fire. This fire, which occurred while the train was in motion, was reportedly caused by a technical fault in the locomotive. Had the flames reached the diesel tank or other compartments, hundreds of passengers could have perished. It was a near miss that had the potential to turn into a major catastrophe. The incident reminded this writer of one of the worst train fire disasters in Indian Railways history, the Patna train fire of May 1990, which claimed 74 lives and injured hundreds. After the Patna tragedy, Indian Railways should have adopted a zero-tolerance policy toward fire accidents. Yet, such incidents continue to occur with alarming frequency, claiming innocent lives. 2 twin hospital fire accidents. Of Victoria Hospital, Bengaluru. The Mahabodhi Burns Ward at Victoria Hospital, one of the few publicly run burn wards in India, caught fire at around 2:15 a.m. on Tuesday, July 1, 2025. The fire, reportedly caused by a short circuit, triggered panic among patients and their attendants. 26 burn patients, including 6 in the ICU, were evacuated in time, and thankfully, no fatalities occurred. AIIMS Trauma Ward, New Delhi. A similar fire broke out in the trauma ward of AIIMS Delhi, one of the largest in the country. The cause: a blast in a 33,000 MW transformer. With 300 mobility-constrained patients in the ward and a doctor's hostel just 5 meters from the blast site, the situation could have spiraled into one of India's worst hospital fire tragedies. But for sheer destiny, both incidents would have turned deadly. Unfortunately, fire safety lapses in Indian hospitals are not new. From poor fire prevention infrastructure to a lack of emergency preparedness, hospitals have often turned into death traps for patients. Shocking data confirms this. Though the 2 2025 hospital incidents ended in narrow escapes, they serve as critical warning signs. Such near misses must not be ignored. They offer clear pointers on what must be done to prevent future disasters. 3 Tamil Nadu firecracker factory fires in just 1 week. 2 deadly fires erupted in the fireworks factories of the Sivakasi belt, Tamil Nadu, India's de facto fireworks capital. These are not isolated incidents, but symptoms of a systemic crisis in a sector that consistently disregards basic safety norms. A closer look at Sivakasi's record. Sivakasi is home to more than 1,500 fireworks factories and 3,000 shops, especially active during Diwali season, with annual sales touching Rs 6,000 crore. Setting up a fireworks unit requires a license from the Petroleum and Explosives Safety Organization (PESO), and all units must comply with the Explosive Rules, 2008. But in practice, licensing laws are flouted with impunity, and illegal units flourish. Year after year, Sivakasi makes headlines for fatal accidents involving hapless workers, many of them underage, who are either burnt alive or maimed for life. Yet, little to no meaningful action is taken to prevent this recurring horror. For Sagaki Industries' killer fire accident. Sagaki Industry, located in the Pashamilaram industrial belt near Hyderabad, manufactures microcrystalline cellulose powder, a combustible and highly flammable dust widely used in the pharmaceutical industry as a binder, disintegrant, filler, and lubricant. On June 30, a catastrophic fire engulfed an 8-story pharmaceutical unit, reducing it to ashes. With 140 workers reportedly inside at the time, the true death toll remains unclear. As of July 8, the number of confirmed dead has risen from 12 reported on July 1 to 44, while 36 others are still battling for their lives in hospital. The casualty count continues to rise by the day. Notably, Telangana's industrial zones Bolaram, Pashamilaram, and Patancheru have long been notorious for frequent fire accidents. These three zones collectively witness, on average, one fire every 2 days, totaling 190 incidents annually and 1,522 over the past 8 years. Crucially, this is not the first major tragedy at a Sagaki facility. According to official records, a previous fire at the same pharmaceutical plant in September 2019 resulted in damages exceeding Rs 1 crore. Nor is Sagaki the only hotspot of the 99 industrial fire incidents reported in Sangareddy district over the past 8 years. 25 occurred in Pashamilaram alone. India's poor industrial safety record can largely be traced to a deeply ingrained high attitude, a culture of complacency and normalization of risk. After the Bhopal gas tragedy on December 3, 1984, the world's worst industrial disaster, which killed between 3,000 and 8,000 people and injured over 500,000, India should have resolved to adopt zero fatality standards for all industrial operations, including fire safety. But that did not happen. Between 2017 and 2020, registered factories in India reported an average of 1,109 deaths and more than 4,000 injuries annually due to industrial accidents. And these are only the reported figures. A large part of India's industrial economy is informal, and even within the formal sector, underreporting is rampant, making these official figures gross underestimates. India contributes to 1 in every 5 global deaths due to fire accidents. The question that begs asking: why can't fire accidents and fatalities be substantially reduced? It is not for lack of rules. The National Building Code (NBC) provides detailed guidelines for construction, structural maintenance, and fire safety, including mandatory fire safety audits. The 2016 version of the NBC recommends a third-party fire and life safety audit every 2 years for all buildings taller than 15 meters. Yet, it took 7 decades of independence and numerous fatal incidents for the Directorate General of Fire Services, Civil Defense, and Home Guards (DGFS), CDHG to issue guidelines in April and August 2017 urging states and union territories to incorporate NBC recommendations into their local building bylaws, including mandatory third-party audits. But herein lies the problem. The National Building Code and its fire safety provisions are merely recommendatory, not legally binding. As a result, they are flouted with impunity by state governments and municipal bodies, with no real accountability. Until fire safety becomes a mandatory and enforced legal standard, not just a bureaucratic suggestion, the death toll from avoidable fire disasters will continue to rise. While fire accidents are rising rapidly, the country's preparedness to tackle them remains dismal. As per a Government of India report to Parliament dated June 26, 2019, India had only to put this in perspective. India's urban population today is more than 1.5 times the total population of the United States. Yet, America's fire preparedness is far superior. The United States Fire Service has an estimated 27,228 fire departments, 58,150 fire stations, 1,216,600 firefighters, and a proportionate number of firefighting vehicles. Worse still, most Indian cities lack even 247 water supply, a basic necessity to fight fires effectively. According to UN projections, India is now the most populous country and the second most urbanized in the world. Its urban population is expected to reach 600 million by 2030 and between 822,877 million in 2047. At the same time, India is set to become the world's third largest economy by 2028 and aspires to be both the factory of the world and a developed nation by 2047. Yet, as things stand, India's preparedness for fire-related disasters is grossly inadequate. The future, unless radically corrected, resembles a black hole of neglect. As per NCRB data, fire-related deaths declined from 60 per day in 2015 to 20 per day in 2022. However, these figures are highly unreliable. The current statutory and regulatory framework for fire prevention and disaster response is weak, fragmented, and routinely violated without consequence. India must urgently overhaul its fire safety paradigm, and a good starting point would be to establish a National Fire Safety Authority, a dedicated central institution with enforcement powers and national coordination capacity. Equally important, fire services must be shifted from the state list municipal function to the concurrent list in the Constitution. Why? Because city governments lack both the funds and the intent to prioritize fire safety. Agreed fire services should be delivered at the local level. But without policy, financial, and technical support from central and state governments, it is futile to imagine that cities alone can tackle the growing menace of devastating fire accidents. Swipe left for next video. The journey to safer, fire-resilient cities must begin now. The author is multidisciplinary thought leader with action bias, India-based international impact consultant, and keen watcher of changing national and international scenarios. He works as President Advisory Services of consulting company Barsil. Views expressed in the above piece are personal and solely those of the author. They do not necessarily reflect NEWS18's views. Latest blogs.